This understated little number is the new Intense Tracer. Intense has been undergoing a bit of a renaissance of late. Back in the 90s, obviously it was a huge brand, and when it came to downhill, it was the brand to beat. Loads of other brands used their bikes to race on, they just sticking them up because they were the best performing things out there. It's probably fair to say that in later years, they started to lose their way. A big part of the reason of that, essentially Jeff Stieber and a few other people would weld up the frames and they'd make it all in-house in Temecula in California. Obviously that means that they couldn't expand as fast as they wanted to do. However, he recently realised that things needed to change. He's brought in a huge new team with loads of industry experience and they've started to really change the range. But this is their latest Enduro machine. As you'd expect, it's got 27.5 wheels, it's got 160mm of travel, although you can run up to 180mm fork in the front, and most importantly, it's got an entirely new suspension design. It's still a multi-link system, but the characteristics of it are very, very different. Intense now do a trio of different suspension setups. They've got designs such as they use on their Spider, which are much more pedalling focused. Then they've got stuff that they use for downhill bikes, but now they've got this. It's actually a very neutral design. There's not much pedal feedback, and it's actually hugely, hugely progressive. That's a really good thing when it comes to descending. It means that you don't get much kickback through the feet, and it also means there's masses and masses of support. A lot of this design has come about because Jeff reached out to Cesar Rojo. You may know him from Mondraker fame. He's now got his own brand, Uno Bikes, and he does consultancy work for everyone from MotoGP racers, enduro motorbike racing to mountain bikes. He's an incredibly switched on guy and he knows what he's doing when it comes to suspension. So while the outline of this bike is instantly recognisable as an Intense, obviously apart from the huge decal there, it's a very, very different machine than everything they've done before. It's got much more reach, it's pretty slack, like I said the back end is now completely different. So how does it ride? The answer unsurprisingly is that it's very, very, very good. There are a few bikes that I jump on and feel instantly at home, but this is one of them. It's solid, it's silent, that suspension has got absolutely masses of support. It's actually impressively lightweight too. Okay, this top end model could actually drop a fair bit of weight because it's running E13 rubber with reinforced casing. That comes in at about 1100 grams a tyre. If you were to switch that out for something a bit lighter, say an Exo Casing Maxxis tyre, those are about 700, you can drop quite a chunk of weight almost instantly. Everywhere else though, it's about as light and shiny as it can be. You've got a SRAM Eagle drivetrain, you've got a Float X2 rear shock with the climb switch, XCR brakes, Renthal cockpit, Fox 36 RC2 fork, and then NV M7030 rims. It's about as blingy as you can possibly get. There's a pretty broad spectrum when it comes to 160mm bikes, but the Intense definitely lies at the harder hitting, slugger end of the spectrum. It doesn't feel like a super pert and lively bike. That's some of its suspension design. Definitely on this particular model, those tyres are pretty sucky. You'll probably want a faster rolling compound if you're going to do much distance work. And also you definitely want to make use of the climb switch on the shock when you're going uphill. That said, when you throw it back downhill, this thing is absolutely blinding. As I said before, that sticky rubber, it's a bit of a drag going uphill, but as soon as you point this thing downhill, there is just masses of grip. It'll let you get away with almost anything. I'm actually riding a size large frame. It's got a pretty decent reach on it. If you're small like me, but you like long bikes, you'll probably want to get a 125mm post instead of a 150mm item. It doesn't matter because there is masses of standover on this thing. I'm not finding that an issue. If you want a 160mm bike that's going to be kind of brilliant for doing distance work, the Intense will cope with that, but it really, really thrives on the steeper, nastier and gnarlier stuff. If you like kind of messing about on little steep black runs in the woods, sort of like taking it downhill runs, sessioning different bits and bobs, or going to like the big mountains, then that's what this bike lives for. Doing laps of the blue at a trail centre, not so much. In the UK, this bike will cost, and this is the bit that you want to be sitting down for, almost £10,000. For that kind of money, you want a bike that feels special every time you ride it, and it's incredibly exclusive too. Guess what? This is it. It's not worth thinking about it in terms of conventional value. That's the same as thinking whether a Bugatti Veyron is good value for money. They're so far divorced from reality for most of us that these are just dream machines. If you've got that sort of money and you want something that's absolutely fabulous, then this thing will perform as well as you want. It's a lovely thing to look at, it's an amazing thing to ride. For the rest of us, yeah, it's something to lust after. It's not really a realistic bike proposition unless you're willing to max out your credit cards and maybe sell a kidney. Obviously there will be cheaper models in the range, and they're also doing two different versions of the carbon fibre in this frame. You can have a very high-end one, like this, which uses a slightly lighter layup, same strength, but just less weight. Or there's a slightly more affordable one, which gains a little bit of weight, but saves you quite a bit of money. The usual acid test for any bike reviewer is, if this was my money, would I buy that bike? And I've got to say the answer to this is no. But that's not because it's a bad bike, it's because I don't have that sort of money. If I did, I'd be sorely, sorely tempted. It rides really, really well, and I'm looking forward to putting even more time on it for the full review soon.